Hello and welcome to Not That This, the pop culture talk show where I interview artists and influencers to find out their fool's gold and hidden gems. Those massively popular things that they hate and those unknown or underrated masterpieces that they love. My name's Geraint Evans and I am your host. So, episode 20, lovely stuff. Today I'm talking to Fern Brady. She's a fantastic Scottish comedian. You'll have seen her on a bunch of telly shows in the UK, like Russell Howard's Stand Up Central, Stuart Lee's Alternative Comedy Experience, 8 out of 10 Cats, and loads of other stuff as well. I really enjoyed this chat. Not least because before we sat down to record, she actually bought me a cup of tea, which always makes me happy. We recorded this in a hotel lobby, so there's a bit of background noise, nothing that gets in our way though. Also, lots of swears. There's 2 episodes this week. The next one comes out on Friday. That's purely because I do not want to release an episode on Christmas Day. I'll probably do the same next week to avoid New Year's as well. Just to say, if you are a James Corden fan, or, and this is unlikely, James Corden, this is probably not the podcast for you. I think this is probably the meanest this podcast has ever been to a specific individual. But hey, you've got a working class Welshman and a working class Scottish woman talking about a rich and powerful Englishman. It's gonna happen. I'll say now though that Fern is a professional comedian. I used to be one. We take things to extremes. Any reference to possible criminal activity on James Corden's part is hyperbole, and you know, he probably does love his wife. Screw it. Here's the interview. Hello, Fern.
Hiya.
How you doing?
I didn't know your name.
Geraint.
Yeah. I thought it was Geraint.
No, yeah, nobody knows how to say my name. It's a sort of running theme of this show.
Oh, shit.
And my life, in fairness. My mum can't pronounce it right, that's true.
Honestly?
Yeah, my mum's English, so she named me after a policeman that she knew in Wales who took her to the hospital when she went into labour. And that's my name now, and she can't pronounce it correctly. It's, yeah.
That's so cool. That's a cool way to name you.
I mean, like, it's not bad. I just wish that at some point in the last 31 years of my life she'd learned how to pronounce the name that she'd given me. But there we go.
My mum picked my name because she was like, I read it in a book, and isn't it strange that you love books? And I was like, we read it in a baby name book. Fucking idiot. Anyway. What were we going to say?
So I'm here to ask you about Brexit. No.
It was so hard publicising a TV show about Brexit when I didn't know anything about it.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't vote because I was working in Ireland at the time. earning euros.
Well, there we go. Sorry, yeah, before we started recording, Fern was telling me about an interview she had to do where they kept asking her about Brexit.
Yeah. Because I did a Vice thing called Brexit Stage Left that was meant to be about Brexit, but it was just 4 comedians going to different cities in Europe. It was all people I was friends with, so we were just like drinking and having dinner on an expense account, and every so often they'd go, so guys, could you talk more about Brexit instead of who wants to have sex with the waitress? It was just that, and then we had to publicise it, and we got asked about Brexit again and again, and we had to just make things up.
Oh God!
I think a couple did. I mean, I was the one that knew the least about Brexit, definitely. Anyway,
I mean, it's fine. It's fine to not know about Brexit.
I'm not an economist.
I don't know.
Why do comedians have to? I feel like comedians, because I have a lot of opinions on things, but I can't have opinions on everything.
Well, no, I mean that's fair.
And I feel like comedians are expected to have an opinion on Brexit.
I mean, I think like
we don't know what's going to happen yet.
So much of comedy is about topical news, like as in on telly and that. So that's what people associate comedians with, I think, is just being able to have a joke about anything. Not realising that you'd spend a week looking at the news and writing your own little jokes and probably paying a writer if you're a Mock the Week. It's not quite the superpower that people think it is.
Yeah, I do write for topical things a lot, actually, and I think, I don't even like watching the news. How did I end up doing this? But quite a good skill to have, learning how to write on boring topics.
Well, yeah, I imagine so. I think topical stuff is quite fun because I think it's more psychological than other jokes. Like, as in,
Yeah.
I think it's easier to get a laugh with something that's just happened
Yeah.
rather than like something about personal from your life that you've honed and crafted into a thing. It's like, unless you've really got that right,
Yeah.
it's like a lot less powerful, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, actually, that's what my show is. And I want to be... Oh, wait, no, it's got some topical stuff in it. But I saw... I must be the only Scottish comedian that hadn't seen Kevin Bridges. And I saw him live doing all this topical stuff, and I was just blown away by how it was just so clever. And I really like Andy Zaltzman's. He's like the best political comedian, because he'll do stuff where I disagree with him, but it's still really funny. Have you seen him? He's got loads of ginger hair, and he's really odd looking.
I don't think I know. Andy Zaltzman, no.
He's got like the biggest political podcast. It's called The Bugle. And
Oh my
hosts
god!
it with
All right,
John
yeah, I do
Oliver.
know. Yeah, okay, yeah. What an idiot!
So I did this gig one time that was like for the SNP. I don't even like the SNP, by the way. But
Okay.
when I do the festival, I live with Tommy Shepherd, who owns the stand.
Right.
But Tommy's an MP now, so he was like, "Oh, will you do this fundraiser for the SNP?" And I was like, oh, I really don't want to do it, but I also don't want it to be awkward at breakfast
Yeah.
for the rest of the Fringe. So I said yes. And then and Andy Zaltzman was on at it, and he did this routine of slagging off Scottish independence to a room full of SNP supporters, and they were furious, but it was so funny. So I'd love to be able to do, like, I've got a lot of stuff on abortion policy in Ireland, and I just want to be able to get the jokes so good that people that are pro-lifers laugh at it, which seems unlikely.
I mean, I disagree with everything she stands for, but those are some well-written jokes.
Yeah. But Andy Zaltzman's really good at that. He's so clever.
So you're on tour at the moment with your show.
Yeah, it's so lonely.
So lonely.
That's why I'm just going to do everyone's podcast so I can talk to people. This is only the second day of the tour. Well, I did one in Aberdeen last month.
Right, yeah.
And that was like the weirdest show of my life. Because I was really excited, because I was like, this is a new chapter where I won't have to gig to drunks and idiots.
Yeah.
And then I'd had about 80 people in, and I was like happy with that. And then, because I'm always worried about not selling any tickets.
Yeah, that's a fair anxiety, I think, for a comedian.
Yeah. And then I went out, and the show was good until about 20 minutes in, and then I was have a joke about being a stripper and what makes a good stripper, and I said, what makes a good stripper is, and a guy went, big boobs. And I was like so taken aback, not because I can't deal with heckles, but because the show had been built up to me as, come and do this show in a nice arts centre. Richard Gadd did his show here, like, you're just going to do a show and people will sit and appreciate it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then this guy just started going, big boobs, over and over. I was like, do people want him to stay? After a bit of back and forth, and people were like, no, get him out. So I was like, can security come and get him out? Because it was an arts centre, the usherette was just a 18-year-old girl who was just looking at me. So after what felt like 15 minutes, where my audience started to fight each other, they took him out. But in the process of that, someone was going, come on, man, stop shouting at her. Your own girlfriend's left because she's ashamed of you. And he went, that's not my girlfriend, that's my fucking wife. Then a couple walked out because they were angry that I was getting big boobs man kicked out. Right. And then eventually he got walked out. And then after that, the show was great and all the audience was on my side. Then there's a bit in the show where I talk about nearly getting murdered. And at that point, the tech where I'd said to him repeatedly, so are we clear that you play this one bit of music at the end of the show? He suddenly starts playing music, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Then at the end, I get dressed as a priest and have a funeral for myself. That's a spoiler. And I put a fake moustache on, and I start to read a eulogy, and just as I was like, thank God this show's nearly done, because it was so hard to get through. I breathed in, and a bit of fluff from the moustache flew down my windpipe, and I started to choke, and I thought I was dying on stage.
Oh, God.
The audience thought it was part of the show and just were like laughing. And then I went backstage and just cried in the dressing room, waiting for people to leave. And then a couple of comedians I knew were randomly in the show because they were also doing gigs in Aberdeen.
Right.
And they were like, that was great, come out for a drink. And then 6 people from the audience like took me out that night, and it was amazing, and they were so nice. But if they hadn't took me out and said that they'd enjoyed it, I would have just gone back and like slit my wrists in the hotel room.
God.
But then people messaged me being like, I loved that bit with that guy shouting at you. And I was like, but it was horrible. It's so fucked up how people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think sometimes people think it's a plant though? Like that it's
people totally thought a lot of errors in the show were like when I was choking live on stage.
Yeah.
People were laughing, and someone was like, "Oh, that's like Tommy Cooper just dying on stage."
So this is something I wanted to talk to you about because in your show, you like you say, you sort of recreate this sort of funeral thing, and within comedy, I think a lot of comedians seem to like that story about Tommy Cooper, for example, dying on stage, like literally. What is it about comics that makes them so obsessed with death? And I don't mean like. So there's the general answer, which is like...
Yeah, I'm obsessed with death. Because the show I'll talk about is relevant to that.
Right.
The thing that I think's underrated.
Okay, all right. I mean, we'll get to that. This is more the psychology of comedy.
I know why they're obsessed with death. Because I think if you do comedy, a lot of people that do comedy and pursue it and keep doing it want to do a job that has, well, for me, I want to do a job that has meaning to me and not waste time sleepwalking through a job that I don't particularly like. And it's very important to me to pursue something that I enjoy because I have a keen awareness that we're going to die, and then that'll be it.
Yeah.
And I think about my own death every single day, and I always try and live in a way that means that I won't feel like I haven't made full use of my life.
Okay.
My boyfriend disagrees with me and says life is meaningless and there's no meaning to it, and I get really annoyed when he says that. But then also I'm like, why can't we have a 3-way in that case? It always, for some reason, it always boils down to that. I'm like, if you think life is meaningless, why can't we have a 3-way? And he's like, why are we talking about this again? But that's also... I'm wondering if they put something in my breakfast here because I feel really strange today. Like the way my thoughts are going through really mad.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's just I find it really fascinating that basically every comedian has a routine about death.
Yeah, well, that's my theory on why. And I think comedians think about stuff more.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's a little bit of narcissism.
That as well, yeah.
Like, especially like what you do, the whole recreating the funeral thing.
Oh yeah.
That's totally. I mean, I don't mean to insult you, but
it is because dying is the ultimate ego killer.
Yeah, but imagining how other people are reacting to your dying.
You haven't seen the show yet, though.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. But you're still engaging with that fantasy.
No, I don't have a eulogy that like praises me though.
But it's not. It's like it's just being talked about.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day with my boyfriend about how people are obsessed with having a legacy after their death, and that's like a ego thing. Because, for example, I don't want to ever have children, but my boyfriend said, yeah, but you want to have a good career and create a body of work, and it's the same. The reason people have children is a they want to make a copy of themselves. And when you want to have a good career, it's the same drive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about that with kids, because it's like it's an evolutionary imperative, right? Like, as in, if the human species doesn't breed, it stops.
There's always going to be all the countries that have like terrible anti-abortion laws are just going to breed and breed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that the human race will die out if the middle class of Britain stop breeding.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's in our DNA, right, that we have to...
A lot of people really shouldn't have children, though.
Oh no, absolutely, 100% agree with that.
Sometimes I find it I find it sort of repulsive when the way children look like their parents. It's alright if they're, it's alright if it's like Shiloh Jolie Pitt, that's the child of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, because it's beautiful. But when it's just ordinary people, it's that sort of, there's something repellent seeing those features replicated. But I come from a quite inbred area,
right,
which is a common thing to say if you're working class, but it's true. And I find it really depressing seeing that I have the bug eyes of my granda as I get older, and like the big bushy eyebrows and stuff. And it's horrible, comedians having children, because comedians are the product of failed parenting because they're narcissists, and now you get a lot of comedians who are the children of comedians. Do you know that? Yes, there's loads of them.
Oh yeah, there's a few, some of them doing quite well.
Yeah.
It's because they're even more broken.
Ed's Night or Ed's Day, he's the child of a comedian, but he is very good. But the fact that they've become comedians, it's just a chain of bad parenting. That's not a reference to Ed Day. But I just wouldn't ever. I just don't think like mad people should have children.
All right, we've sort of decimated the human race a second. So we desecrate or decimate some pop culture. So what's your fool's gold? What's the thing that's out there that's really popular that you just don't get? You don't like. You hate it.
I hate the TV show Gavin and Stacey, but more specifically, star James Corden.
I'm so on board with this answer. Okay. So what is it about James Corden in particular that...
He basically, if I was the size of James Corden, I wouldn't get anywhere, and he's symptomatic of a culture where men can look like a big burst couch and get a Hollywood career. And then women still have to be about 10 pounds underweight to be a woman on TV, or you have to be so fat that you can use it as a marketing
like your
angle.
thing.
Whereas I'm just a sort of in between. You can't be in between.
Yeah.
And it just depresses me. I saw someone saying on Twitter, it's shocking that James Corden is now like hosting big Hollywood bashes. And then the woman, the fat woman that was on Gavin and Stacey with him, who wrote other TV shows, is still in Britain. And you just see that over and over again. Or you see it in things like Eamon Holmes on morning TV. He can be fat, but his wife will have to be thin, even in menopause.
I mean, it's definitely depressing. What do we call it? Like institutionalized misogyny, sexism, like these sort of double standards, and and James Corden I think is a good example of it, because like I don't understand what he's good at, like personally.
It's laddishness. I think people think he's a lovable dog, but you were saying he's dead behind the eyes.
I did say that before.
That's what I think as well. I remember seeing him on something. I have to turn off when he's on because I can't stand him. And I saw him saying that he was very much in love with his partner or something, and I was looking at his dead eyes going, no, you're not. And I'll tell you another thing. I used to do this job working with psychopaths and like sex offenders. It was like in a halfway house.
Right.
This was just before I did comedy properly. I think I've got a good eye for guys that turn out to be pervs and dodgy. I'm like a truffle pig for sex offenders, right? Now, I'm not saying James Corden is a sex offender. I'm just saying that everyone I've always thought was dodgy, it's come to light. Well, it's all coming to light now.
Well, yeah. There's a reckoning coming for the men of Hollywood, I think.
Hopefully a lot of the men of comedy as well.
I mean, well, we were talking about before we started recording, like the
have you seen Fern Taylor? Fern Taylor's doing material on someone until he gets sued, he says.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, I didn't...
A famous comedian.
Oh, right, okay. No, I don't know. I've not seen... Like, a lot of people keep telling me that Finn's latest show is very good, but I've not seen it.
I love him. Yeah, I love his stuff.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we're currently living in a time where, like, every day it seems like there's some new...
Did you just look at your watch when you said we're currently living in a time?
I did, and more than that, I'm not wearing a watch.
Oh.
So what I actually did was look at my wrist. It's one of my little idiosyncrasies. We're living at a time where, like, this stuff is coming out every day now, and will do, I think, for quite a while, which is good.
Then everything will go back to normal, I think. Because, like, Trump got in, even though there's, like, really terrible sexual assault allegations against him. There's, like, pedo allegations against him.
I've given up trying to analyse what the hell is going on with Donald Trump in terms of, like, how is he still there? I don't know. Like, there's all this stuff that we know, or we think we know.
Or even, Boris Johnson. See, when I was at uni, I went to Edinburgh Uni, and they had a campaign there for who was going to be rector of the university.
Right.
Edinburgh's full of posh wanks, and Boris Johnson was up for it.
Yeah.
And there was a big divide in the uni where half of us were like, "Are you kidding? He's so right wing," and everyone else was like, all the posh Hoorah Henrys were like, "Oh, he's a lovable tough and stuff." And now Boris Johnson's in Parliament, and he's just, that woman's in jail in Iran because of him.
Yeah.
And I was
he's possibly just doubled her sentence as well to what he's just said.
Sorry, I do that all the time. So please didn't. Oh, that will just sound weird on the podcast.
Yeah, that's all right.
I just made a face at people.
I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch.
But the Boris Johnson thing, I was thinking about him and how he's just steadily risen up and up and up, even though he's like that. And Trump has had these allegations that got in his way, and he was fine. Well, they didn't get in his way at all. And James Corden is a big buffoon. So that's how much the world hates women, that will put big buffoons in power over Hillary Clinton, who was like one of the top law lecturers at Ivy League uni, and like did the best in her class at everything. And
that's it. I mean, but it's interesting because I think Hillary not getting elected is a symptom of how wrong we are when we deal with people like Trump and Boris Johnson. Because, like, all she did in her campaign, which is all that I was doing and all that most of my friends were doing, was going, look at how much of a fucking idiot Donald Trump is. Mm. And he gets elected. And what I'm thinking is, like, there's nothing coming from Hillary's campaign of going, why I'm brilliant. It's all about, well, obviously you're not going to vote for this guy. But clearly we are not understanding that there is something in that persona of the lovable rogue or whatever that people can really latch onto, that we need to try and destroy and deconstruct. And I don't know what that is. I don't really have a point there. I'm just like...
No, it's interesting though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very depressing because it's something I've seen in different walks of life over and over and over. And then I heard Hillary Clinton on Women's Hour recently, and they were like, see, when you were doing debates with Donald Trump and he was coming up behind you, he was like going behind her really menacingly. Yeah. They were like, how did you not turn around and slap him? And she was like, well, I desperately wanted to, but I knew you can't ever be an angry woman. So she said she just had to remain calm. But see now, if I was her, she's plenty of money. She's not going to run again in the elections. So why would you not just start? I'd just start trolling Trump full time. Because think how clever she is. She could do some top level slagging on Twitter. And he dries to it as well.
He cannot leave something like you see him on the internet, like just random people who say insulting things he'll have a go back at. And I'm like, mate, you're the president.
Yeah, I saw him. You know how comedians? I think Doug Stanhope did a bit on how Donald Trump is basically an open spot comedian, and he listed all these ways that he's the same. And just last month, Donald Trump retweeted praise from a random teenage girl that was like, "I love Donald Trump as president. Thank you, Trump," with love heart emojis. And he retweeted like, "Thank you." Like, in what world does that happen? Only comedians would do that. Insecure comedians.
Oh dear. I mean, this has gone way off.
Yeah.
James Corden.
But James Corden's on a continuum of guys like that being loved over intelligent women are just dismissed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's undeniably true. I don't know what I'm saying. I think that is what is the case with the world. I mean, what is it about Gavin and Stacey? Because you said something interesting. I think, like you said, like
I don't think Scottish people like it. I think it's an English and Welsh show.
Some Welsh people like it. I hate it from a perspective of being Welsh because I think it makes Welsh people look like idiots, and in quite a lovable, nice way. Like it's not like malicious, and obviously because it's written by a Welsh woman, like who cares, like, and she has the right to speak about it. But when all of the media about Wales, and we spoke when we were going through a cup of tea earlier, like Scottish and Irish, that it happens to them as well in the UK. Like all the media that's made about us makes us look like idiots.
Yeah,
and so when our own people, even though we have the right to, play up to that, it really bugs me.
It's so this happens with most Scottish comedy, apart from Lemmy's show, is terrible because we've internalised an English portrayal of what Scottish people are.
Right. Yeah.
It's called cultural cringe, I think.
Okay.
Cultural cringe is where you see other Scottish people or Welsh or Irish or people on TV and you go, at their accents or at the way they're portrayed. And a big problem with, this doesn't happen in Ireland because Ireland's separate and a republic and it has its own culture.
Yeah.
But in Scotland, we make a lot of TV shows where Scottish people are shown as like drunk, fat, fucking like alcoholics.
Yeah.
And I made a pilot with the BBC a couple of years ago, and it was made in London by an English producer.
Yeah.
So they were trying to put things in like, and they're eating chips here, and then we would have like all Scottish actors in it. They would come in and audition, and then put on this like whole other accent, and it's almost like a lot of Scottish comedy it's like it's made by people that hate Scotland. And I just wish the regions could be shown as normal. That's what BBC calls them, the regions.
The regions, yeah. The territories.
Yeah. It's so depressing because I just like I hate saying, Scottish people don't like Gavin and Stacey because I don't really believe in national identity. But at the same time, the media and comedy creates stuff like that, and you internalise an idea of what it is to be Scottish or Welsh or Northern Irish.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's really well put. Like, it just, I think Gavin and Stacey, like, for me, it's the worst example of it because so many Welsh people do love it, and like, it is done with care. But I'm still like, nah, though, we shouldn't be playing up to those.
It just looks cosy.
Yeah,
and I hate cosy comedy.
Like what?
Okay, so BBC commissioners are always they'll put out like statements saying what they're looking for.
Okay.
And a big thing that they come out with a lot for BBC Two is we want something with heart, and we want something that all the family can watch. But really, what I think that means is they don't want to take risks. This is quite a cliche that people say, and I don't want to complain because I get work from them a lot. But did you see there was a thing saying Ofcom have ordered the BBC to take more risks with their comedy because it's too safe? Yeah, after Russell Brand and Saxgate, it completely changed the whole culture of what got commissioned because people were terrified of getting in trouble.
I mean, the BBC are in a particularly difficult place, right? Because they're constantly in jeopardy from the Tories, right? Who have never wanted them to exist and will happily get rid of them the minute they step out of line. And they also have this mandate where they have to appeal or make stuff that represents everyone. Now, I don't think they necessarily succeed in that.
But they put the most money into new writers,
absolutely. I'm not criticising the BBC. I'm saying they've got like a tough line to walk. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll complain about them, then I'll be like, oh, but also I'm writing. Like I'm doing another thing for them, and they always give me work, and I don't write anything that's warm or cosy. So. I really like a lot of the newer stuff they're coming out with now. Like, they are doing more dark stuff.
I mean, like Fleabag, I've spoken about on this. That's so brilliant.
Oh, fucking... Oh, God.
What?
I don't want to say anything. I wasn't into it.
Not into Fleabag?
But the woman that made it was on came to talk at a thing I was doing, and she was really nice. And
right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, okay. Then let's turn it around.
I didn't want to say Fleabag as my thing because that would be ungenerous.
Yeah, no, I mean, and also I don't think Fleabag is like massive. I think like a lot of
it was critically praised.
It's critically acclaimed, but I don't think it was like
not ratings. Right.
Yeah, no.
Mrs. Brown's Boys had very high ratings, though.
Yeah. Yes, and apparently all its cast are tax dodgers.
I saw it. And my boyfriend's Irish, and he was like, I loved how the cast were like, we didn't know what was going on. He said they're playing up to the Irish sickle.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about something nicer. What's your hidden gem? What's the thing that's unknown or underrated that you really love?
I love the TV show 6 Feet Under. I think it's the best TV show ever made, and I've watched all the episodes about 20 times, I think.
You've been through the whole thing.
I watch the whole series about once a year, and it's basically my religion because the whole program's about how you should enjoy your life and you have to live without a fear of death. And you should live with so I should say, if you don't know what it is, it's an after American Beauty won all the Oscars. Yeah. The guy that wrote it, Alan Ball, was approached by HBO to write a TV show about a family funeral home in LA.
Right.
And he just wrote this amazing TV show about a funeral home where like these two brothers are running it together, and one of the brothers is a closeted gay and hates himself, and they've got a little sister who's like a really cool art school teenager, and then the other brother goes out with a woman who is a child genius, but she's also really sexual and slutty. And 6 Feet Under was doing 3-dimensional female characters written by women about 15 years before Fleabag.
Yeah.
But then Fleabag came out and everyone was like, whoa, it's a woman talking about bumming. I'm like, watch. If you want to see fully realised female characters, you've got to watch 6 Feet Under. Yeah. And the writer's room was made up of like incredible playwrights and writers from all over America, and loads of the writers from it have gone on to like make other amazing shows. So like Jill Soloway, her first writing job was on that, and she went on to make Transparent.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I could just rave about 6 Feet Under all day. I could do a podcast podcast series about 6 Feet Under. That's how much I love it. Also, at the start of every episode, this is the formula of 6 Feet Under.
Okay, yeah.
At the start of every episode, they have a person die.
Yeah.
And Have you ever seen it?
I mean, like, I've seen little bits of it.
we're
I know
the same
it's
age,
Michael
so-
C. Hall, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, and it's set in a funeral home. Like, I mean, you've said this already.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so I have seen it, like, when it used to be on, like, Channel 4 at, like, 10 o'clock at night or whatever.
Yeah, that was when I first watched it. I didn't watch the last series of it until a few years after it had ended. Oh my god, 6 Feet Under has the best show ending of any show.
Okay.
And this is a commonly held opinion. I don't want to say anything. I think you should watch the last series just to see the
ending.
the ending, because it's amazing. And every time I see it, I cry hysterically. Like, my boyfriend hasn't even seen. He's pretty much seen most of the series from walking in and out of the living room. But like, every time he sees the end, he starts crying, and I'm like, you haven't even seen all the series. It's genius.
Okay, all right.
What else do I like about it?
I don't know.
Oh, just loads. They've got like the mum in 6 Feet Under. She's like an old woman, and you never get interesting parts. Actors are always saying you don't get interesting parts for older women, but the mum in 6 Feet Under has such a interesting journey across the series.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so good. And it has all these dream sequences and stuff, so I don't know if people that are into, like, I still haven't seen Twin Peaks, but I don't know if people would be into
I've
the same
not,
sort
I've
of
not
thing.
seen Twin Peaks, but maybe. I mean, I can't draw the line.
It's also very beautifully framed. I love the direction of it.
Right.
Like the way they frame people sitting to get the cameraman.
Just like the cinematography.
That's the words,
Yeah.
And it's so funny as well. It's so much funnier than a lot of sitcoms that I watch.
Okay, I mean, like, I like that. I mean, I spoke to Vinay Patel, who's a scriptwriter, and he was talking about how, like, a story, you shouldn't know what kind of story it is. That kind of vague idea. So, like, a tragedy, you shouldn't know it's a tragedy. You should still have jokes in it. The characters in that show don't know how this is going to turn out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I believe about drama as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in 6 Feet Under, the best I can recall, which is quite dramatic.
Yeah.
It's a drama, right? But if you lose those moments of humour because you're like, oh, I'm writing a drama,
Yeah.
then it's just going to be awful.
Well, for example, in the UK, we don't seem to have as much dramedy anymore, which is a shame. So I guess at least Fleabag was that.
Yeah.
But we don't have many, and I don't know why, because in the 90s there was a good... Like, Teachers was quite good, and No Angels was a thing about 4 nurses in Leeds that was like a mix of the two. But we seem to, in the UK, we just do straight drama. It's serious as anything, like Dr. Foster, which I've loved, but there's no jokes in it at all. But I don't think that's realistic, whereas 6 Feet Under is so dark, but then it just is so funny.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, because I think that's how people deal with those sort of things. Like death specifically. Like, you can't just embrace every bad feeling about death without. You need a channel for it. You need to go, oh yeah, but everyone's going to be dead soon. Like, it's got to be light-hearted. otherwise you kill yourself. So I'm kind of interested in the idea that you watch this show sort of like every year.
Yeah, because it makes me appreciate life more, and it's I was brought up in a strict religion, and now I'm not religious, so 6 Feet Under has basically replaced that.
Okay. I mean, that's because so basically all my family, which I mean myself, my brother and my sister, we've watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. I mean, I can't count how many times I've watched it. My sister buys every new version of the DVDs, if you know what I mean, like when they put them in a new box, or like they put it out on HD or Blu-ray, or like, my brother, like his, like he's only allowed to watch it every 2 years. There's like a gap, there has to be. And I don't know, I find it interesting because that's something that I found, and I think they found, when teenagers, and so that's sort of the age you'd be when 6 Feet Under was
Yeah,
out like
we're
that.
the same age, so I would have been about 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting what stuff you watch with your siblings and that you kind of end up
I mean,
with
we
a
don't
similar...
get together to watch it. I should be clear about that. We watch it in our separate houses. Like, it's not like a religious service.
No. Like, me and my brothers grew up all watching Tim Burton films together.
Right.
And I think now, because people say my comedy's really dark, and I'm like, what? I thought it was normal. But now I think, oh, well, you were watching Edward Scissorhands and fucking Batman Returns when you were like 5, so that's obviously going to shape you.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one that I liked? Beetlejuice. Watched Beetlejuice a lot.
Beetlejuice is brilliant.
It's so good. I just watched that again recently, and I always think of Edward Scissorhands as like a nice Christmas film.
It's lovely. It makes the sculpture for the girl, and then, you know.
My mum used to put it on for Christmas. Is that not a normal Christmas film? Because it was on. I go to my boyfriend's for Christmas in Ireland, and generally I love it. But one year he was like, "Oh, you know, we need to do something that's one of Fern's Christmas traditions," and I was like, "I want to watch Edward Scissorhands." But it wasn't the same. It's just, they didn't seem to get that it was a Christmas film. Then he runs away back to his mansion to be alone again. Yeah, now I think about it, all these things of like, oh shit, I'm such a goth.
Closet goth.
Yeah. I was an actual goth when I was a teenager. Well, not a goth, but like someone that went to skate parks and wore spiky wrist things and baggy jeans and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to watch.
Teenage Geralt also made bad decisions.
Well, I was going to say, I can usually tell if someone was one, so you seem like you were one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I never really. I was one of the freaks and geeks, like those sort of like they don't have like a cultural identity like a skater person or but just like I was one of the periphery humans. I think.
Oh, right.
Like just I'm here too. Like there was a group of us. I wasn't on my own, but like we didn't have like an ideology.
Yeah. Oh no, ours was very much. I'm like, oh, my teen years were so innocent and good because now I think, from what I've heard, teenagers send pictures of their vaginas on Snapchat and stuff. We used to just go to people's houses if they had Sky, so we could watch music channels and watch music videos. And be like, oh, Linkin Park's new videos out.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I used to hang out up a mountain. That's what I used to do.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'm really glad I wasn't a teenager now.
I know, online bullying. I spoke to someone who's like 10 years younger than me, and she'd been bullied by people from school, and it meant that now, because of Facebook, when you go home, you can still get bullied online.
Yeah.
But we didn't even have the internet in my house because my parents said it wasn't suitable for a Catholic household.
I mean, it's probably fair.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, for ages, I was like, that's mental. But now I'm like, well, that's the portion of my life where I read a lot of books. And now I'm on the internet all the time. And I have to install software to block it so that I can get work done. Yeah,
I mean, I've got a specific work laptop. Like, that's the only thing that happens on that laptop.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And Football Manager, because the other laptop can't handle it. But I've got very strict rules about when I'm allowed to play Football Manager. Because if I don't, I'll die on that game.
Yeah.
I
got a bit of software that turns my laptop into a typewriter until I've written a certain number of words.
That's amazing. What's that?
I can't remember what it's called because I actually only used it once because it's only good if I'm writing an article, but the main bit of writing I do just now is scripts. Right. So I need something that locks me off the internet. I tried leaving Facebook last week so that I'd finish something, but Facebook set things up so that as soon as you click back onto Facebook, it just reactivates your thing.
Right, yeah.
So I was thinking I should permanently delete it, but that's like unplugging yourself from the Matrix or something.
Yeah, getting away from social media is like, it's basically impossible. Because once you do it, like, you realise how... Because I think it's an amazing thing to do for your mental health, incidentally. But,
I did feel a lot better for the week that I was off it.
Yeah. 100%. You realise how so many people... Like, you just won't hear from people now. Because you're not...
Yeah, so I had to send messages to a couple of very good friends to be like... Because the last time I deleted it, my mate was like, have you blocked me? And I was like, no, I just wanted to leave. Because if you put up on Facebook, hey everyone, I'm leaving, people don't always see it.
Yeah.
And then there's things like how many people offer you gigs on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I need to work out. I really want to leave because I read a thing about how Facebook is now the biggest surveillance operation in the world, and it's more intrusive than the most intrusive governments, and it's so sinister.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of...
Twitter I've no issue with, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Twitter's doing. Like, but I mean, I don't like Twitter because of the people on Twitter, but...
It's a very
because you have access to the whole world on Twitter, if you know what I mean. Like, just everyone is there who could potentially see you or whatever.
Yeah.
It just means there are so many more dicks. Like, on Facebook, I can cultivate my friendship group. Like, you know, I can prove my leaves. Whereas Twitter is like, you can get involved in such things. That's terrifying. But I think it's less evil than Facebook in terms of how insidious it is. Like Facebook definitely listens to you and targets ads based on...
Oh my god, I think Facebook has heard what I'm saying, because I was talking about churros, right, in the house, and then it started fucking advertising churros to me.
It does that, that's... Like, they've officially said that it doesn't do it, but there have been so many tests where people are like, it definitely does it. Anyway, I mean, we've got miles off track. 6 Feet Under, great show.
I really think people should watch it, especially people that look for... Because I see a lot of people saying about wanting well-rounded female characters. And I was like, why aren't there loads of people that like it?
Yeah.
But then I guess maybe it's too dark for people. Like, I liked Breaking Bad, but there's so many people who love Breaking Bad, and I'm like, because it's about men doing stuff. Whereas 6 Feet Under is a very women and gays show. Like, I like this show called American Horror Story. And I was like, why are there not more people into it? Because it's really gory. Oh, it's a very gay show. It's written by gays. Has a lot of gay themes.
It's written by the gays.
It's really camp, and it's got a lot of older women in it.
Yeah, I'm not really into American Horror Story, like, but then I'm not really.
It's a bit shit. You know this.
It's because it's that kind of American TV. Yeah, I've heard that, which has made me want to sort of try and check it out.
I'd watch this season just to see, because when Trump got in, there was a meme going around that was as a joke that was like, American Horror Story, Trump, the election, and then American Horror Story genuinely made a season about that, whereas usually they'll do a season on like witches or mental hospitals or something.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because they've made the extreme right and the extreme left are both as horrific as each other.
Right, okay, I mean, I've got no time for that. I'm only interested in attacking the right wing.
It's interesting.
Okay, well, I might check that out as well then, the latest series. All right, let's do some quick fire questions.
Yeah.
So this is just your favourite and your least favourite kind of thing, like medium. So what's your favourite TV show?
6 Feet Under.
Well, yeah, okay, we've got that one. What's your least favourite?
Oh wait, I like Motherland. I just watched that on iPlayer. Yeah, it's a sitcom on iPlayer. I think it was on BBC Two, and Holly Walsh wrote it with Sharon Horgan and Graham Linehan.
Oh wow!
And Graham Linehan's wife.
Okay.
And it's about like competitive middle class mothers, which is a world I would have zero interest in. But it's about what cunts they all are. So yeah, I just watched the whole series of that. But 6 Feet Under is my favourite show.
Okay, great. Least favourite?
Bake Off.
Bake Off.
Because I cook a lot. Cooking's like my main hobby outside of comedy. Well, I suppose comedy's my job. So I cook elaborate meals pretty much every day that I'm at home, but I have no interest at all in watching other people cook, and I can't understand why people are into that. Just cook yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Bake Off a few times on this show.
Oh, have you?
Well, just
No idea.
Just in passing, because people talk about reality TV quite a lot, you know. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
It's not for me. I'm not angry at the show. It's, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
one
not
of the.
angry
Like,
at
I
it.
just no.
I just.
Oh, but you said something amazing before we were talking. Actually, like it's put the price of butter up.
Right, so at the moment I'm making a lot of recipes from a new cookbook I got called Fresh India. It's so good. It got the Guardian Cookbook of the Year, and every day I make a curry from it. And I was making my own naan breads, which, to be honest, is the best thing I've done.
Right.
And it was more satisfying than anything I've ever done in comedy. But I had to get a load of butter for it, and the price of butter had doubled. And the good thing about, sometimes I go, God, the things that come out with these days are so boring. I used to have an exciting life. Like one time I had a freeway with these two women in the audience of my show, and I think, what happened to...
in the show?
Not in the show, after the show.
Sorry, I wasn't sure what the commas were in that
You
sentence.
just go, what happened to that person? And now I'm like upset about the price of butter. And I got in touch with my boyfriend and I was like, I'm sorry to bring up something that's boring, but what the fuck is going on with... And before I finished the sentence, he went, I know that the butter price has gone up. I've looked into it, it's shocking. And that's when you're like, I really love this person that he empathises with me on this. So I looked into it. Bake Off has fucking sent the price of butter sky high because now there's all these amateurs getting into it. Well, because since I've been self-employed, I'm heavy into cooking.
Yeah.
I bought my own churro maker recently as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're deceptively easy to make.
Alright, just Bake Off. Alright, what's your favourite movie?
Oh, I love finding films on Netflix where you're like, you've never heard of it, and then it's amazing. There's a film on Netflix called Other People, and it's a guy that wrote for SNL made it, and it's about this guy who is a comedy writer, and which you always go, not good, another film about a writer. And he moves back in with his family because his mum's dying of cancer, and it sounds so morbid, but it's so funny and amazing and sad. So watch that. And then also another film on Netflix called Take This Waltz that Sarah Silverman's in, and she's amazing. She's just got a bit part in it, so I would recommend those films.
I watched her latest stand-up show that was on Netflix.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Holy shit. So I watched that twice, and I'd never seen Sarah. I'd only seen little bits of her before.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And I thought I wasn't into her, right? And have you noticed she always gets called potty-mouthed comedian Sarah Silverman? That's all I'd ever heard of her. And I was like, she's not. She's like so thoughtful. She's got like amazingly clever and comedy, and I was like, oh, this is just sexism that she's been dismissed as that, because that doesn't happen with much more foul-mouthed male comedians.
Bill Burr is not the potty-mouthed Bill Burr.
Can't fucking stand Bill Burr. Evil little man. I can see it in people, and he's a bad cunt. So I text my mate. I said, "Why has everyone been saying this about Sarah Silverman? Because that's special she's got is great." And he said, "No, she's not a dick jokes comedian. She's a brilliant alternative comedian." So yeah, that's a good special. Yeah. Do you know Chelsea Peretti's one as well? I was like that.
I'm not sure I've seen that. There's so much stand-up on Netflix as well.
Patton Oswalt. I've only just started watching stand-up specials. Patton Oswalt does one about his dead wife.
Okay.
Because his wife just died in her sleep last year.
Wow, fuck.
Yeah, and he does comedy on it.
Wow. Comedians and death.
He does about, like, this will just sound really callous, he does like 30 minutes before of like just stuff about Trump, and then you can just tell everyone's like, get to the juicy bit about your dead wife. So
yeah, I mean, Dead Relative is basically a medium within stand-up at the moment, isn't it? Like, there's, in terms of stand-up shows.
well, it's been for a long time, hasn't it? The dead dad thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Like, I used to have material about my dead dad. It's good though, so it's different to the rest of it. You know, and also I didn't build like a whole show around it. It was just like, I have a dead dad. That's part of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. It wasn't about my emotional journey. Anyway, all right. What's your least favourite movie?
I suppose, well, there's a lot of just nothing films, so it'd have to be something that makes me annoyed.
I Love You, Daddy by Louis C.K., the film that no one will ever see.
Yeah. What a tragedy for the world.
All right. What's your
Wait,
favourite?
I'm still.
Oh, you're still on the movie. Okay.
500 Days of Summer.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That just sort of twee indie romance
I
thing.
mean, there are, because someone referenced it when breaking up with me once. And said I wasn't like that or something. I had to watch the film to get what he was on about.
I don't know who that was, but they were a dick.
No, he's really nice.
Oh, right, okay. Well, but he referenced a movie in the breakup.
Yeah, he was really. I don't want to insult the guy, but yeah, he was like sort of beta male or something.
Right.
But yeah, he referenced the film, and I was like, what? And then I watched it, and I was like, why are so many people into this?
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, my boyfriend got me to watch It Follows, and I didn't like Blue Valentine. That was rubbish. Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams are in it, and rubbish. But a lot of people like it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, what's your favourite book?
Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson,
Okay.
who I reference in this year's show.
That would be Suffer Fools.
yeah, my show that I'm touring.
Okay, what's your least favourite?
Oh, Paradise Lost is this epic poem by Milton that you have to read if you do English Lit at uni.
Okay.
And I did an English Lit degree because I thought this will mean all the boring long books that I can't be bothered to read on my own. I'll have to read them for the course. But then it turns out you can find ways around it, so I still haven't read Paradise Lost. I've just smashed my head off the wall. That was God punishing me for not reading it. I think it's about heaven and hell. So boring. Ulysses as well, I couldn't get through that.
Yeah,
I mean, one chapter of the book's just a woman talking about wanking. Honestly, there's a bit in the bell jar where Sylvia Plath. Oh, I love the bell jar. It was such a cliched. If I was a character, writing myself as a character in a film, I'd be like, oh, of course you would like the bell jar. But Sylvia Plath has like a nervous breakdown while she's trying to read James Joyce, and if you read James Joyce, you can really fucking see why. Honestly.
yeah, that's fair. What's your favourite musician or band?
My music tastes are really different to when I was a teenager, because when I was younger I remember it was such an important thing to say the bands that you liked, and I'd only go out with people that liked the same bands as me. So I loved the Smashing Pumpkins, Radiohead, Deftones, whereas now I listen to Alt J, Banks. I still listen to stuff I listened to as a teenager. I like At the Drive-In.
Okay.
Like sort of band that shout a lot.
Yeah.
Like the Pixies. Yeah.
Everyone likes the Pixies.
Yeah,
I mean, well, people our age like the Pixies.
Yeah. I saw them a few years ago at a festival, but I was too drunk and had to be walked out of the thing.
Yeah, my favourite t-shirt is a Pixies t-shirt. It's just a piece of tab that goes across. It's the one that I always get complimented on. But it's not mine. My wife got it when she saw them in Japan. And I've just stolen her t-shirt because it's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Least favourite?
A band that, like, lads would go and see and then be all rowdy and cunty after.
Kasabian?
No, I fancy a lot of them.
Right, okay.
I think Elbow are overrated, to be honest.
Oh, that's fair. I'll go with
I was
Elbow.
thinking of them because they're in the John Lewis.
Are they?
Yeah.
No.
But I remember when I was a teenager, you would be like, these are the bands I hate. I hate mainstream pop music.
Yeah. I hate all the, stuff that makes people happy and dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, okay, one last question, which I ask everyone. So, someone's going to make the story of your life. What medium would you want them to do that in? And what would you call it?
Oh no, I don't know. A film.
A film?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know what I would call it. Do people answer that? No.
Yeah, some people, yeah.
I can't think. Or maybe I'd Radio 4Play because they have mad stuff on.
Okay, right, yeah, good. Yeah.
God, I really want to write a Radio 4Play because they're just so mental sometimes. You're like, how did this happen? Like, one day I heard a Radio 4Play about a woman that was sexually attracted to octopuses. And I still don't, I wish I knew the name of it, because sometimes I'm like, did I dream that? No, it happened.
Yes. It's not something I'd feel safe Googling.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of hentai stuff.
Yeah, that's a particular kind of fetish, I believe.
That's so cruel, because octopuses are so intelligent. Do you know they found out octopuses built their own cities under the sea?
Wow.
This was just in the news recently.
Okay, alright.
I've just went back to being veggie, but also I'd never fucking eat an octopus.
Well, they think octopuses might be aliens, don't they?
Are you kidding me?
As in, like,
I'm really, the more I read about them, the more I'm like, octopuses are having, because octopuses have the intelligence of 2-year-old children apparently, same as pigs.
Right, okay, yeah.
Or it might be older than that. So I'm like, they're really, really clever.
There was something about, like, they think that, like, by aliens, what they mean is that, like, the stuff that they evolved from was brought here by a different asteroid. Like, I don't know if that's right or if that's just some bollocks I've read on the internet, but that is something I've heard.
Were you watching that Blue Planet?
I've not watched the latest series of Blue Planet. I will.
I only saw a little bit of it the other night. It's got a lot of stuff about whales in it that's pretty mad.
Yeah.
Well, the octopus cities, they built little homes out of clamshells. They were similar to humans in the sense that they would chase other octopuses away that tried to get into their clamshell house. Okay. And pretty much that's what Brexit was about. Like, people just...
Yeah. And that is Brexit.
That's what I'm going to say. The next time I fucking get asked about Brexit, I'm just going to reply with a convoluted answer about Octopus City. By the way, Phil Cooper just messaged me saying, shall we meet for brunch this evening?
Brunch this evening?
Yeah. I think he's going to come at my show, but he's already seen it.
Phil has been mentioned in this podcast so many times. Like, I'm going to keep this bit in.
Yeah, he's great.
He's not been on it yet. I should live with Phil. He's such a lovely boy. Okay, so Brexit, brilliant. That's brought us full circle. Thank you very much for joining me, Fern.
Thanks.
Keep smashing it all.
Thanks.
Okay, ta-ra.
Wow, so that was Fern Brady. I had so much fun doing this one. You know, a lot of the time doing these interviews, I'm aware that I'm essentially working. It's fun work, it's great work, but, you know. When I met up with Fern, though, we settled down really quickly. It felt like just a chat with a mate. In fact, I had to edit out some quite big chunks of this where I or Fern had said something a little bit personal about ourselves or friends of ours. If you want to go see Fern live, she still has several dates coming up on her tour in January, so go have a look and buy tickets in the nearest place to you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are and you want to support it, give me a little Christmas present maybe, then you can do that on the website, thatthispod.com. It takes time to make this show, so if you can support it, whether that's financially or by sharing it or leaving an iTunes review, I would be absolutely delighted. If you've got anything you want to say to me, then get in touch. You can email me at geraint@thatthispod.com, or you can tweet me or something. In the next episode, I speak to Nikesh Shukla, who is an author of many, many books. He was the editor of The Good Immigrant, and he's done a whole bunch of other stuff besides. It's a really great interview, and you get to listen to it early. Lucky you. I'll catch you then.